I can share this back with others, but I just wanted to share, first of all, I don't know whether you've actually been on here and seen the so the actual Notion website, which is really quite good in terms of explaining what it does and what it's about. It calls itself an all-in-one workspace, but I think it is probably a lot more than that. It has got sort of project management functionality, wiki features, all sorts of things. Like in my head, for example, I would think of a workspace even as something like Slack, but it's got a lot more. But I think where it really comes into its own is further on down the homepage, actually, where it does start talking about the different sort of applications. So you can see this this use of it being a team wiki. So sounds a bit like, Jerome, what you were saying, where people or teams are putting in documents, keeping them all in a central place, and organized, very visually and very easy to navigate. The projects and tasks stuff is really good as well. So it can replace things like Trello or ClickUp, as you were saying. I'm actually still using Trello, but yeah, I'm thinking of switching over because I'm using lots of different tools for lots of different things, and actually Notion could cover that. Then you've got notes and documents. So the use case that we'll go into today is a good example of this. If you're running a campaign, for example, where do you store all your documents so that everyone can find them? And then I'll just share as well. So these are a few different things that I've come across recently that are, let me find them. So how people are actually using Notion in different ways. So Simon, I don't know whether you'll recognize this actually, but this is another group that I'm in. So because I'm a content specialist, content strategist at the moment, and the person who runs it actually puts all of the members' content stores it all in Notion. So you can see here it's this members area with resources. There's even a schedule for all the different events and things that happen. So that's one use of it. The next one, which Danny, I don't know, this might be what you were referring to. This is not a public thing just yet. So it was something that again was shared in a different group that I'm in, and it's this is designed to eventually be a public facing or a customer facing document. And you see that they structured it almost a bit like an ebook. So it's got different sections and then tables. They're still working on it, but I saw this the other day and thought I hadn't thought of using Notion for that sort of thing. So it's an interesting way to even create content, because obviously then you can click around the different areas. And then the final one is actually one that I've been working on myself, which is a content planner, which I think a couple of you have seen. But I've put this into Notion and have been sort of building this. And what the idea is that you duplicate it to your own Notion board, and then you can adjust it and customize it. So this is all, you can move all the tiles around and everything. But again, it's sort of, for that instance, it's more as a framework or a sort of a structure around the planning process that you would do for content planning. So it's really interesting to just see all the different applications of Notion and how it's used. So I think that's the opportunity, but also half the challenge of getting started with it is you can do so much with it. So I'm going to hand over to Gunjan, who is our Notion expert. She uses Notion even to track her own personal CRM contacts. I've seen some of her personal Notion boards and they are quite astounding. And I think that I love, Gunjan, the way that you describe Notion, which is, first of all, that it's like Lego, it's like building blocks that you can use, but also that it's structured in such a way that is like your brain is structured. So, you know, you can start organizing and putting things into different positions that feels very natural to, you know, how the brain works. So yeah, so I'll hand over to you and you can take us through how does Notion actually work and how do you use it?
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Emma. And good morning once again, everybody. I'm Gunjan. I hope, are you able to hear me well?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So firstly, I joined the Notion fan club sometime in the summer of 2020, where, you know, I was juggling between my Evernote and my Google Docs and Trello and trying to keep track of people I'm meeting or jobs that I'm applying for and things like that. And it was actually Emma's comment on someone's post about Notion that got me curious. So I did some, I looked up some videos, etc. And I thought, okay, you know what, maybe I can work with this. So I went down. At that time, it seemed like a rabbit hole about, like every time it's like an onion. You open it and there's another layer inside, and there's another layer inside. But I think it appealed to me intuitively. So I spent a lot of time trying to understand and see how it works and how to make it work. What I love the most about Notion is that you can design it the way you think and the way you operate. So for example, if you're a very visual person, it can be a very visual board. Or if you're someone with a lot of text and prefer reading, it could be that. If you are colorful and you can design it to look uh, anything like you want. And if you are someone who's happy with a grayscale and a black and white sort of a form, it works for that as well. And visually, you can move around things the way it feels natural to you. So I know it sounds exciting, but then then it gets a bit difficult. Like, where do we go from there? So I'll take you through a use case scenario, as most of us would do in case of an alignment with other team members when we are doing some kind of a marketing projects. So allow me to share my Notion space. Yeah. So are you able to see this? Yeah. All right. So yeah. I'll just minimize my screen and bring it out here. So this is a dashboard that I have created for marketers, content creators, digital marketers of sorts. This could be whatever appeals to you. There's the header. And then in this dashboard, I like to start with a nice quote or, to read something inspiring. So I've used this template from another Notion user where you have this quote of the day, which changes every day. Yeah. And then from a dashboard point of view, what are the important things for this month, for example? What are the 3 big things that as a marketer I need to accomplish? Then this gives you an index of the projects that you're working on. This gives you a sense of schedule, that what am I looking at in the coming week? What calls and meetings and webinars do I have to manage, for whom and what projects? And then I go down lower, and then this is really operations and templates that I need handy to access. Maybe, for example, I need to see what are my rates for, let's say, managing an event or things like that. So that comes in handy. And then these are really tasks, and they compile tasks of all projects, all clients that need to be done. So this view that I filtered is for a week, for example, or sorry, for a month. So this is an initial setup, and we'll go through it in details about how I have created that. Are there any questions right now? Anything that you would like to clarify?
This might sound like a stupid question, but is the quote of the day, is that built in? So does that automatically update each day, or do you have to?
Yes. Yes, it does. And it's not something that I've created, so I'm not taking credit. It's another lady, Stacey Ann. She's done a phenomenal job of, creating some amazing templates. So this template or this template structure is something that I've taken off her template, and then I've built it for marketing specific.
Okay.
I also use the same dashboard for my personal Notion, which we will get into, towards the end, just to show people how I use it for personal. But I like this as a dashboard because it gives me in my first view, that what are the important things that I need to do in terms of schedule and tasks, things that I need to focus on, rather than get carried away in a big table of all the things that are listed there.
And where does the schedule stuff come from? Is that imported from calendars, or do you have to create each item yourself?
Yeah, so everything that has this little arrow pointing outside is actually coming from a master database, where everything sits, right? I'll get into master database in a minute, but yes, I've created this on my own in Notion, my own tasks. This is not from a Google Calendar or an external calendar. So hopefully, there is a Google integration like what Emma showed, but it's only visual. It does not really add tasks to that.
I think that might be something. I've seen a couple of updates from Notion recently that might be on their roadmap of more integration stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? So so we'll get deeper into things. These are just plain boxes, so they don't correspond to anything. This is just text that you put in. Yeah. But when you get into projects, so for example, this is a page in itself, right? And when I click on HubSpot, it tells me what are the 2 projects, for example, I'm working on, right? Individual clients or individual projects within each. What is the schedule specifically for HubSpot? So what are the things that I need to do specifically for HubSpot? Does it relate to any projects? What type of meeting is that? And if it's a meeting, then I can also just assign the meeting notes here to it. Yeah. So I get everything in one go. I don't have to go to a different folder to check my meetings and another folder to check my schedule. This is a visual representation of a timeline, so for example, the Inbound 2021 event, what would it look like? So let's say we kick it off in December. On December 3rd, we have rehearsals from December 13 and 19, and then let's say the final event is from January 10 to 16. So it helps, to keep the team aligned on the changes in the dates, if at all, or if we need to add more milestones in between. Then this particular page is about content assets. So for example, if I'm doing any project on HubSpot, what are the content assets that I have, like a video or an intranet or an Instagram content, or maybe a Facebook or a tweet or blog post. So you can create this entire content database, and then you can even see, so this is a full database. As you grow, maybe the number of things here will increase. So you can sort through things, and let's say I only need to say add a sort, and say I only need to what is it, type. I only need, okay, sorry, this is sorting. Before that, we can filter. So for example, I want to add a filter group, and let's say I only want to see all the blog posts. So you can just filter that and see only the blog posts that you have. So this setup allows you to have everything at one place, but also only see what is required. You're not lost in the the whole, what do you call it, repository of where there's so much going on that you don't know. Like, when you're searching things on, for example, a folder, you have like 50 files and you don't know what to look at, kind of a thing. So this is the advantage of this asset set. And you don't have to see everything at one go. You can nicely hide the inside of the content and just create an access link here. Similarly, brand guidelines, let's say there are the fonts. There's 5 fonts that you use regularly for this particular project, or a repository of imagery. So, from all the photo shoots that you've done or stock images that you've purchased, you know that you can use these, keep them here. You can even assign them brands. So for example, let's say there are there is this digital marketing image that works for 5 clients, you can tag those 5 clients and actually know that, yes, I can use this for HubSpot or Pfizer or Visa or whatever, and then the logo. Yeah. And similarly, any other asset that you can think of. And then, for example, since this is an event and we want to do RSVPs, right? We don't know how many people are going to show up, or the RSVP is just building. So you can just create that. This can be visible, or you can just, convert this into, for example, convert this into a page in itself, and then that will be a separate page. So as the RSVPs build up, you can add that here. You can even search whether, Emma is joining us, or Simon is joining us, or Jerome is joining us or not. So it allows you all of that. So it's almost like, it's like a universe of mini planets, so to say, with which you can do different functions. Are there any questions?
Yeah, me again, Gunjan. This all looks fantastic. Can we nick it? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
It raises a broader point, which is, as Emma said, like the idea of getting started. I've just been learning Elementor and WordPress, and and now I'm getting getting big into HubSpot, and before that I was learning something else, and this is another thing to learn. And
yeah,
so I guess first question is, can we steal all this, because it looks fantastic?
Absolutely, it's open for everybody.
Wow, no, that's fantastic, because I guess my broader point was this looks some ways like the ecosystem around WordPress, where companies are creating templates. And there's a freemium model where you can come in and take all these templates to build your own sites, and then they're setting up businesses off the back of pro functionality. Do you think this is where Notion is going to go? Or?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, just a few weeks ago, Notion created this I don't know what to call it, but this concept of Notion certified consultants. So if you want to, like you had SAP certified consultants or SharePoint certified consultants who would help you implement that. So Notion is going the same way too. So for example, you or me or Emma or Jerome or Pradnya, anybody can learn Notion enough and set up their own consultancy where they can help others put together their Notion setup. So yes, absolutely, that's the direction.
So Gunjan, can you show us how you actually, like how you would start, like how you would create a page, and then so you go into Notion, and then how really simple.
So okay. So firstly, I'm very comfortable with this set of a dashboard, right? Like that upper layer that I need, under which I can access stuff. And this template is from a lady called Stacey Ann Hales. She's based out of Jamaica, and I'll share the link to her as well. So I use that. But let's say, so I have a master database, right? Okay, maybe I'll not confuse everybody, but I'll start with about creating this particular page. So I just copy that template, right? And my suggestion would be that try not to create something from scratch, and see if there are aspects that work for you from other templates. There's a whole world of templates out there, right? So I would copy a template. Let's say here are some Notion templates. Okay, so let's say a weekly journal template. Sorry, Emma, question. Are you suggesting about how do I create a brand new page within the marketing dashboard that I already have, or like for someone who has zero experience in Notion and start from there?
Yeah, maybe zero experience. So yeah, how do you even just find a template, create your own, and then add a calendar into it, add a few pages, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so first thing I would go is check out the readily available templates from Notion, and they have a good set of templates under their marketing thing. So if you want to create brand assets, for example, right? This is a template that I showed earlier where I created the HubSpot brand assets. So logos, images. This is already a ready-made template that you can use. All you need to do is say use this template, right? And then you have this here, and then you can go on and customize it. So for example, this is not the logo, so you decide what properties you want to add. If you want to put asset type, file type, maybe you can even put a property to say client, for example, to ensure that you are able to segregate it based on clients. And then you say you say select, because there are limited number of clients. So let's say we create a client called HubSpot is already here. Let's say Hootsuite, right? So we've created a client called Hootsuite, and then this is the image. You can either delete it directly, or you can choose to say replace, right? And then you just replace it from an image, either like let me. So there are some logos here. So let's say I use this image. Okay, so this becomes the new image. And that's it. And then you just step out, and then you see that, right? You can add more properties. So for example, now it does not tell me which client it is. So I can add that property here. One moment. It should show this property.
Oh, do you have to do it on, you see just above the middle image, it says properties, and then I think you have to
oh yeah, sorry, that's right.
Show
yeah,
it.
So you can switch on and off the properties. So for example, let's say if you don't want to know what is the file type, for example, you can switch it off. And if you want to know who's the client, then you can switch it on. You can also have when to use, for example. So if you see this here, it changes to for social or file type. So here there's no client mentioned, therefore there's no client data, but it says when to use, right? And then asset type, for example, here is a logo, but here's an image and a social. So you are able to handle that and see whatever fits your perspective, right?
Yeah.
Similarly,
those are like tags, aren't they? So that
yeah,
coming to say it is a different
exactly.
team, they can quickly see which ones are applicable to them, for example.
Absolutely. And let's say you have lots of assets and you only want to see all the fonts that you have. So you can just filter this and say add a filter and say not the name, but the asset type, and it contains. So it will show all the options within asset types, whether it's a font, logo, image, social. So if you select font, it will only show the fonts that you may be looking for. So, it helps you to really not get caught up with everything else that is happening around in that space. So, this is one way of creating brand assets. Similarly, you have another way of creating a template. Let's say you want to create the content calendar like Emma did, right? So this is exactly the template that I used when I showed you my content template, right? So whether it's a podcast or a blog or an Instagram, it also allows you to see who the custodian of that particular content is. For example, in this, when you create a team members, you can assign this to, let's say, Harrison or Ben or Camille. So let's use this template. And you can even change the view. So for example, if you prefer the more timeline point of view, whether it's in idea or a progress or in review, you choose that view. Or let's say you want to see who is doing what at the time. So right now there's nobody assigned in the template, but maybe if you want to see the deadline calendar. So based on what is assigned, we can't see anything here because maybe the timelines are not showing, but let's say the launch calendar or published, to see what is published or what is not published. So as you add tasks and assign these properties, I know why. Okay, this works. So yeah, so as you assign tasks and do those things, you will be able to look at things very quickly in what you're looking for at that time. So
And
that's
the good
that.
thing with that, isn't it, that you create it once and then it's basically just different views that you're doing on it. So you're not having to
Yes.
create all those different sort of views or boards. It's just you do it once and then
Yeah.
you can just
Yeah.
toggle. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so, when you create, let's say you've created 2 pages, but you don't want them to be in 2 separate pages. You just want it to be in one client page, for example. So let's say you create this page, call it client, what did we call Hootsuite? Okay. Is it an S capital or not? I don't remember. Anyways, let's say this is a Hootsuite page where you want everything related to Hootsuite. All you need to do is just drag it inside and then you have it. You drag it inside and then you have it. So, it doesn't matter when you start creating what. You can always change your mind. And for example, you want to create something similar for another client. All you need to do is duplicate it. And then you have it. And then, of course, you need to add content particular to that client. But it gives you the whole layout and the structure that you built once. Yeah. And for example, let's say this client is Slack, right? And then you want to segregate things like I want all my SaaS clients to be in one group, for example. Let's say you have like different, in an organization, you have different teams servicing different set of clients. One is servicing SaaS and another servicing healthcare and another servicing finance. So, you can create a page to say, okay, I want all my SaaS clients here. And then I put this here and put this here. And then lo and behold, all my SaaS clients are in one place. And I can create different pages like this for, let's say, my technology clients, right? So let's duplicate this for healthcare maybe, right? And then you want to create one dashboard of all your clients, segregated as per the industries that they are. So you create a page, call it clients, right? And then move healthcare, move SaaS, right? So you know that in healthcare you have these 2 clients. Go back in SaaS you have these 2 clients, and then over time you can build these things up. So what I love about Notion is also that it doesn't matter whether you started with the tacticals first, like the basic or the smallest unit of work, like you started with the content calendar and then built up or rearrange the content based on the clients or the sectors that they are in. Or you can choose to start big picture and then go down. Are there any questions?
And can you share each of these? So say that was like different clients you had, or if you were working in a company in-house, it could be the different teams that you share with. So then you can just, you don't have to share the whole thing with all your clients. You can just share the individual.
Yeah. So this is one of the recent updates from Notion where they have really handled access. Like in the past, for example, if I shared clients with 5 people, all 5 of those people would have access to healthcare and SaaS, for example. But now they've changed that. So like, for example, healthcare, I can share and let's say share to people. So like, let's say Emma, I can share it with Emma and she will only see all my clients related to healthcare. But within healthcare, let's say this client, content calendar, right? I want to share this with Brian, for example, right? So I don't have to give all access of Slack to Brian. I can only give him that specific content calendar, and that's it. So people see what they need to see it. Does that answer your question, Emma?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about the database thing earlier.
Yeah.
Can you show us how that? Because I think Notion is technically, there's some people think of it as basically a database, but I I know it is, but it's a lot more. But yeah, how does the database
Okay.
thing work?
Yeah, so I think this is where when I say that Notion is like our mind, like it's like a second extended brain. This is where it is like, you know, we may have like 10 things to do today, but those 10 things may not relate to one client or to one set of tasks, right? Whatever that may be. Like, let's say I have 5 calls. 2 of them may be for an interview, and 1 may be for a client meeting, and the third could be for like a personal mental health call to a friend, to just vent out. So there are these 5 things that I need to do, and in our pre-Notion world, I would have had maybe put these things allocated in different tables. And then every time I would go and see, okay, what I need to do in terms of clients, what I need to do in terms of personal stuff, what I need to do in terms of job interviews, right? But Notion allows you to bring all these things together while also giving you a handle on how much you want to see, right? So think of this as a very big catalog, right? And everything is tagged, right? So when you want to pull out only client-related work, in the same catalog, everything sits in the same catalog, but you can only remove client-related work if you want to see that. Or if you want to see client and let's say job applications, you can see that. Or if you want to see all 3, you can see that. If you want to see what's for today, you can only see that. Or if you want to see what's for today and the whole of the next week, right? You can see that. So I'll take you through my task, or I'll go through the easy one, which is a task, right? So in this task view, I have filtered tasks that I need to only, let's say, add a filter. I only want to see tasks for, let's say HubSpot, right? Because I've decided today I will only work for HubSpot. So these are all the things that I need to do for HubSpot between now and the end of the month, for example, right? So that helps me that. But I'm saying, okay, you know what? I have other clients that I cannot ignore. So I need to filter that. I need to add that as well. So I can add HubSpot, and I can add, let's say, Parks Canada, to see if there is any task for Parks Canada. Okay, so when you do filter, this is important. Where and so both these things should meet. If not, then or. So then everything that covers both is here, right? So maybe I don't have any task for Parks Canada, that's why it's not showing up, right? So you can, let's say you have a property to say that I have a task for HubSpot, and it should be in this project, right? In a particular project. Let's say you have 5 projects and you only want to do HubSpot project tasks. This is especially helpful when you're segregating tasks for team members, right? So you can see that, or you can remove all the filters and see everything that is available. So yeah, there's a task for Pfizer and there's a task for Visa in here, because it needs to get done. This is the view, but where is this view coming from? What is the underlying database from where this view is coming? So for that, I create this thing called as master task list. And this is a non-discriminatory database, meaning that everything that you need to do as a task is here, immaterial of your client or your project. Okay, because we need to look at things holistically also, right? We can't be juggling between multiple tables to achieve that. So and then you create relations here, right? Maybe this is a topic for another discussion where I will get into detailed relational database. But what this allows you is to write a task, put a status, and also assign it to a client, to a project, and even a team member, right? So let's say if you have a team of 5 people doing 5 different things, as a team leader, you can decide that, let's say, of the Invine 2021 project for HubSpot, I'll have Simon, as a team member assigned to it. So it gives you a good sense also of the broad picture, right? Similarly, let's create an event. Would be New Year celebrations. Okay. it's something. We are waiting to hear, but the client has not briefed us yet. But we anticipate that these are the projects or the tasks that may come. Which client is that? So I've already created this, so it's coming up easily. And I don't want to inundate everybody with how to do it just yet, but we can always have another session next week or whenever everybody is interested. And I'll show you exactly how to do this. So let's say the next client is Parks Canada. They want to have a New Year event. We know that they spoke about it, casually. And this is, and the project is, let's say, Banff National Park. The best part is that if it is not already created, you don't need to go somewhere and create. You can create it right here. So you create a new project called Banff in the projects database, right? And yeah, and you assign a client to it. So it's for Parks Canada, right? It's not done yet. When is it going to go live? Let's say that it's a New Year thing, so it will be on 1st or 31st, whatever works. Or it could be between 31st and 2nd, or Sunday, which is 3rd. So you can have an end date. So the start date is 31st and the end date is 6th. So it's like what did I do? Oh, this is December, sorry. So let's say the start date is 31st and the end date is 3rd. So it's like 4-day event that's going on, right? And then this is a New Year celebration. You can put whatever data, etc. you need to do it. That's it. So that this is a project, and let's say I want to assign team members to it, right? So I'll create team, yeah, and then I'll create another database where I have the list of all my team members, and I will add that here to say, let's say Jerome or Danny maybe. Okay, so in future I'll be able to see that who are my clients, what are my projects at hand, are we servicing all accounts efficiently, are all team members in efficient capacity, am I overburdening some and underutilizing some other team members. And you can also filter this view as much as you want, but what it gives you is a single repository of everything that you need to do. And then when you create views, for example, the view that we've created here in HubSpot, right, you get into the details. So for example, all the HubSpot related tasks are here. Sorry, I've not created that task here, but you can create, let me show you how to create. Like, let's say if you want to see all the HubSpot related tasks, so you create this and you create,
I have to admit, I think my brain is starting to get a bit overwhelmed already too.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll leave how to create the databases later, but you get the hang that you can see all the HubSpot related stuff here, but everything else sits in a repository, and you just pull out the information that you need.
Yeah. Gunjan, what would you say is the best way to sort of get started with Notion? Is it just go in and start, creating pages and templates and playing around with it, or are the Notion tutorials good? Is that a good place to start? So, because I think the problem is with it, there's so much you can do that where do you start?
I would say the first place to start is with a pen and paper and visualize what you want on a sheet of pen and paper, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's just that, first you see what you want and then you build that, right? So, and 90% of the time, I'm confident you will find a template of what you want, because people have already done it, So there is no need to really start from scratch. I can share a list of resources, that Emma will circulate to everybody about where I have learned Notion from or whom I have learned Notion from. And if you have time on Friday afternoon, it's 1 p.m. Toronto time, Eastern time. So maybe it's a little late in the evening in UK, but they do something called as office hours. And every Friday they sit with a use case of how to use Notion. So this template that I got from Stacy was from one of those sessions,
Yeah.
exactly how Stacy shows what to do and how she has done it. And then of course whoever the person is, that template is generally available for you to duplicate and customize on your own. And this is actually run by Notion. I think in some capacity, Notion has a role to play in doing it. So like this one particularly is about marketing. Last week there was something about wedding. I was a bit busy and I'm already married, so I didn't have any use for it. So and I hope that I don't need to again. So I didn't attend that. Yeah. So, but every week, and it's hosted by a lady called Mary Pauline, who's based out of Vancouver, and she's phenomenal with the work that she does on Notion. She even runs a mastery course, which is like, I don't know, $500 or something like that, or $1,500. I'm not sure, but you don't need to spend those big bucks. All that I have done right now is without spending a penny. So I will encourage you to not start from scratch. I will encourage you to, but first be clear in your mind about what you want, because you can get the ABC and you can get the XYZ, and then it's exactly that, you get lost in that rabbit hole and you don't know, like, how does this relate to me? So this is my suggestion and recommendation on moving forward with Notion.
Great. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? I think we covered quite a lot and can definitely go into other areas in more detail. But yeah, anybody got any questions?
And I have one small thing. Like one thing that I maintain is that many times, you are on your phone and surfing, something of interest comes along. You don't want to go back and open your Notion and put it in that right document just yet. You just want to save it. Notion is a very good mobile app from which you can, send stuff to yourself. So, so I call this something called an inbox, but it's really just that, like, things just come in. Everything that, I want to organize later, I just put it here, right? So let's say this link, for example, for timeline template examples. So, or let's say SEMrush is maybe an article that I'm interested in my content planning thing, right? So I'll just add it to that particular folder later. But I create a inbox from which I can sort stuff, so that even when I'm not in the mood to open Notion, I can still access stuff. Does that make sense?
How do you, so if you're on your phone and you find something, then how do you
let's say
get it to your inbox?
Let's say you're on the internet and on an Explorer, right? And I don't know if I can show this, but meaning on my phone, but
is it let's say you open a web or is it an email or?
It's Notion app. Notion has an app, right? So when you download the Notion app, and then when you click on the share button, not on Notion, on any other thing, let's say on LinkedIn, you saw a job that you want to, save for later. So you when you press that share button, the button which has an upward arrow. Yeah. So you just press on that, and then you get lots of options, right? Like share it on WhatsApp, share it on email. So you also get an option to say share it on Notion, right? So you can, and then you can assign a page where it all goes. So I have assigned the inbox page to that, right? Because maybe I'm like, it's late in the night, I'm just doom scrolling, and I don't want to then open my particular Notion page and put it right away. So I just say share it, and then when you type which page, just type inbox or whatever page you want to assign it to, and it will come there right away. So then whenever you are ready to, organize your content, organize your material, links, references, you can put it wherever you think is appropriate.
Okay.
So that's why, like it allows you to do things in a holistic ecosystem, as opposed to like, okay, I need to like lose this link or open my Notion, don't have to be between two extremes.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't realize I had an app, so I'm just downloading.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't use the app more to actually work. It's more for like to see if there's something, or like more like reference. It's not ideal, I would say, to work, at least not for me. I prefer a bigger screen, but it helps to just kind of collate or accumulate stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I suppose we've got a couple of minutes. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, I mean, this is maybe for you, Emma, but you know, I'm reasonably used to Trello now, and I'm keeping my contacts in HubSpot. And as you said at the beginning, you've got all these different places. What's the, is there a simple answer to the question, why should I move everything off Trello and onto Notion, and why should I start making a note there?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like I haven't sort of made up my mind either. I'm sort of playing with Notion at the moment to see if it makes sense to move stuff, but I can see an argument at the moment because I've got a bit like you know, Trello, Google Docs, loads of other apps that I use. And every time I go back into Notion, I think, well, that could sit in Notion and that could sit in Notion. So yeah, it'll probably take a bit of time to get it all into Notion, but you know, I suppose the advantage is it would all then be in the one place. And then it's also that ability to share certain things because I work freelance, so certain things with clients, but not everything. Yeah, but I haven't 100% decided yet. So yeah, I'm still playing around with Notion to see whether I do that or not.
I'm kind of curious if anyone has ever used Quip before. It's pre-Notion. It's been hanging out there for a while now. It's sort of like the Google Docs alternative. Has anyone heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't really used it. QUIP, right?
Yes. I think a lot of people may have heard the toothbrush, which also came after it. But it's sort of this weird. Anyway, we adopted it in my previous company, and the big value of it was that it was just easy to get going. It was faster than Google Docs because you just didn't have to do any formatting. And I think Notion kind of recreates that quite a lot. Mostly the fact that you just don't have to do any formatting and things will just look good. But then adds the sort of database capabilities. Yes, it was independent and Salesforce bought them.
Oh, yeah. Another one.
Which is another one. It's kind of insane how Salesforce is sort of making the waves.
Yeah. The one thing I want to share, and maybe we don't get a chance to discuss this, is the toggle button. Let me show you how it does.
I think just quickly. So I think Prajna has a question. Do you?
Okay, sorry. Yes, Prajna, please.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So generally what happens is clients, they give you a Google Sheet or maybe a document or something of that sort. And I haven't really explored, using RESTful APIs and integrating with Notion yet. Sometimes obviously like you create pages and you can like copy paste, but how easy or difficult would you say an integration with these platforms would be?
I haven't played a lot with integration myself, but I know that Notion is working extensively on a lot of APIs, and maybe if you check out on their website or look up Notion integrations, you may get it. One thing I know that I see an update from them practically every week about something or the other that they have added or improved. So I think they're working fast. This is what my sense is in trying to get a lot of user requirements in, right? So maybe you would have an opportunity there.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So we've run over just a minute, but Gunjan, can you put, so the stuff, the links that you've covered, so the Notion office hours and the template thing and whatever, could you put those in, just pop those in the Slack group when you when you find them, so that everybody can access them? But I think there's going to be
feel
loads
free
more.
to reach out.
Yeah,
feel free to reach out if you need help in putting together your own personal Notion dashboard. I have some time now, so I may be able to spare an hour or so just thinking through on what works best, and if you need any help, I'm happy to help out.
That's great. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll do more on Notion because there's a lot in it. It's what
we did was just a dashboard of Notion, and then we can go inside and check out some important functionalities. Yeah,
great. Okay, well, thank you very much, Gunjan. That was
Thank you.
very
Thank you, everybody.
useful.
I hope.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, I hope so too. Okay, take care.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. That was really helpful.
Bye.
Thanks, Gunjan. Thanks,
Simon.
Emma.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much.